Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Master Duel Cyber Dragon deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck just got some amazing support out of the most recent selection pack. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name inscription for every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of the original Cyber Dragon. This card is definitely a 3-of in the deck and a key combo piece that has an amazing effect that if your opponent controls a monster and you control no monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is an amazing effect to instantly bring out Cyber Dragon. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Core. Cyber Dragon Core is an amazing 3-of in the deck and the best normal summon in the entire build, as when this card is normal summoned, you can actually add a Cyber Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, grabbing the exact card you need to go full combo. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Dragon Hertz. Hertz is an amazing 3-of in the deck. This card has the ability, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually add one other Cyber Dragon from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is an awesome effect to instantly grab the original Cyber Dragon from your deck, or one of your other Cyber Dragon monsters that actually counts as Cyber Dragon in the graveyard, which is a really cool ability. We then play 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Nashter. Nashter is really good as a 2-of in the deck, but you really only need 2 copies of this card because it does require a little bit of setup. This card has the ability that you can discard one other monster to special summon this card from the hand, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can target a machine monster with 2100 attack or defense in your graveyard and special summon it, which is an awesome ability to instantly bring out one of our monsters to our side of the field. And all of your monsters from Core, Hertz, and Nashter all count as Cyber Dragon while on the field or in the graveyard, which is a great effect to be able to use with cards like Machine Duplication, so you can actually bring out 2 of the original Cyber Dragons. We then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Chimera. Cyber Dark Chimera is really good in this deck. This card can actually search out Power Bond directly from your deck to your hand, which is such a powerful effect. You can actually discard a spell or trap card to add a Power Bond from your deck to your hand, and you can only use Dragon or Machine Cyber monsters as fusion material this turn. Also, once when you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish monsters from your graveyard as material, which is a really cool effect to basically turn your copy of Power Bond into an Overload fusion, which is insane. We then play 2 copies of Galaxy Soldier. Galaxy Soldier is really good in this deck as a 2-of, just as an extender, because you can actually send one other light monster from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card from your hand to defense position, then add another copy of Galaxy Soldier from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool ability. We then play 3 copies of Disablaster. Disablaster is the new support card that we just got out of the most recent selection pack, and I definitely recommend playing this card at 3, as this card is actually a negate, and it's a machine dupe target because it has 500 attack points. This card has the ability, its pendulum effect is you negate any card effects activated in this card's column, meaning you can completely negate cards that are in the far left column or the far right column, which is absolutely crazy. This card also has a really good monster effect that if there is a column with no cards, you can special summon this card from your hand to a zone in that column, which is a really cool ability to instantly use this card as an extender to bring this card out to your side of the field, which is an absolutely amazing effect. But you can only special summon it once per turn this way. Also, you negate any card effect activated in this card's column, and if this card in your monster zone is destroyed, you place this card in your pendulum zone, so you actually get this card's pendulum effect. This card is amazing as a 3-of in the deck, just to be able to use as an extender to special summon out to your side of the field, or lay it in one of your columns that's a pendulum zone to lock down an entire column against your opponent, which is absolutely crazy. We then play a single copy of the Star Destroying Kaiju. This card is searchable in the deck, and it's very easy to out with your copies of Fortress Dragon, so this card is a really good 1-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Terverion King Regulus. Terverion King Regulus is amazing in this build as a 1-of because this card is a walking negate and super easy to summon out to your side of the field. By having any machine monster in your graveyard, you can actually target one of those machine monsters, special summon this card, and then equip that monster to this card, making it super easy to summon out. Plus, this card is searchable off Clockwork Knight, which is why you just play a single copy. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. We then play 3 copies of Maxi. Maxi is a really good 3-of in the deck to be able to use, and since it is a Master Duel deck, you guys know we have to include Maxi in this build. But this card is really good to help us dig into the deck for the exact cards we need, because we get to draw a card every time our opponent special summons, which is absolutely crazy. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Cyber Repair Plan. Cyber Repair Plan is really good, basically as a rota for the deck, as if a Cyber Dragon is in your graveyard, you can activate one of these effects, and if you have 3 or more Cyber Dragons in your graveyard, you can activate both of these effects, which is a really cool ability, that you can add a Light Machine monster from your deck to your hand, or target a Light Machine monster in your graveyard and shuffle that target into the deck, which is a really cool effect, but usually we just use this card to add a Light Machine monster from our deck to our hand. We then play a single copy of Power Bond. Power Bond is searchable off copy of Chimera, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the deck, just to help us OTK, because whenever your fusion summon with this card goes in for double attack points, which is insane when it's summoned out to our side of the field, which is absolutely insane to summon out cards like Twin Dragon with double attacks, and it just doubles the attack points of that monster as well, and it can attack twice, which is so cool. We then play a single copy of Cyber Dark Realm. Cyber Dark Realm is amazing, as this card is actually searchable off your copy of Cyber Dragon Core, so you can activate this card and search out your copy of Cyber Dark Chimera, and then use Chimera to search out Power Bond, which is super cool to be able to do. But this card is really good in the deck as a 1-of, just to help you search out your copy of your Cyber Dark monster, which is so cool to instantly get your copy of Chimera to hand. Plus, this card does give you an additional normal summon, which is really nice about this card as well, as it has a really cool ability that it lets you normal summon your Cyber Dark monster to your side of the field, which is an amazing effect in addition to your normal summoner set. So you can normal summon out your copy of Core, search this card, activate it, and then search out your copy of Chimera, normal summon Chimera off this card's effect, discard a spell or trap, and search out Power Bond directly from your deck to your hand, which is an awesome effect to instantly grab your copy of Power Bond and go in for an extremely powerful fusion play. We then play a single copy of Overload Fusion. Overload Fusion is a really cool 1-of the deck, basically the Miracle Fusion of the deck, helping us go in for a Dark Machine Fusion monster by banishing a materials listed on it from the field or the graveyard. We then play 2 copies of Machine Duplication. Machine Dupe is really good as a 2-of in the deck to help us special summon additional monsters out to our side of the field. It's just really helpful in the deck to help us summon out additional monsters out to our side of the field. The only downside of this card is if you activate your copy of Clockwork Knight, Clockwork Knight will make your monsters go up by 500 attack points, which will put some of our monsters out of range for our copies of Machine Duplication, which is why I just play 2 copies in this build. Plus, it's searchable off our next card, which is 2 copies of Triple Tactics Thrust. Thrust is really good in the deck because it can search so many different cards in this build, which is why I play 2 copies in the build, because it lets us basically grab the exact spell card or trap card that we need, which is why I love this card at 2 in the deck. We then play 3 copies of Cyber Emergency. Cyber Emergency is basically the rota for the build, letting us add a Light Machine monster that cannot be normal summoner set, or a Cyber Dragon monster from your deck to your hand, again, basically being the rota for the build. We then play 3 copies of Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight is an amazing 3-of in the build, because this card is either all face-up monsters on the field become machine monsters, and machine monsters you control gain 500 attack and defense, and also machine monsters your opponent control lose 500 attack and defense, which is an insane effect to basically just put a 1,000 gap difference between our opponent's monsters and our monsters. This card is really good in the deck, but it kind of does go against our copy of Machine Duplication, which is why I just play 2 copies of Machine Dupe and the 2 copies of Thrust, just in case I want to search it, so we don't open up multiple copies of Machine Duplication, because this card is insane with our copy of Fortress, because any Cyber Dragon monster plus this card usually means we win the game, because this card is going to turn everything into machine monsters, so we can basically get rid of our opponent's entire field with a copy of Fortress Dragon, which is absolutely crazy. This card also has the ability you can banish this card in the graveyard and discard a card to add an Earth Machine monster from your deck to your hand, which is our copy of Terverion King Regulus that we can actually grab off this card's effect, which is amazing. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get in to the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing 3, and it's going to be 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. This card is an amazing trap card for the build, and just a really good hand trap overall to go with our other hand traps we're playing in this deck. So, that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to start off with Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon. Rampage Dragon is an awesome 2-of in the build to help us OTK our opponent, because this card just goes in for multiple attacks and can also pop spells and traps on the field, as this card has the ability a fusion summon of this card can only be done with the above fusion materials, and when this card is fusion summoned, you can target spells and traps on the field up to the number of fusion materials used for this card's fusion summon and destroy them, and once per turn, you can actually send up to 2 light machine monsters from your deck to the graveyard, and if you do, for each monster sent, this card gains 1 additional attack during the battle phase, making it so this card can attack multiple times and go in for game. Speaking of multiple attacks, we also play a single copy of Cyber Twin Dragon. Cyber Twin Dragon is really good in the deck as a 1 because this card can actually attack twice, which is amazing to be able to go into this card using your copy of Power Bomb, just in case you want to make this card and just swing in for game. We play a single copy of Cyber End Dragon. Cyber End Dragon is one of my favorite fusion monsters ever created, so I had to include it in this deck. This card has piercing damage, and when you make it with Power Bond, it comes out at 8,000 attack points, which is absolutely crazy, and it's just a really cool nostalgic card. We play a single copy of Mega Fleet. Mega Fleet is really good to be able to contact fuse monsters away out of the extra monster zone. We then play 2 copies of Fortress Dragon. Fortress Dragon is really good in this deck as a 2-of. It's with your copy of Clockwork Knight, it turns everything into a machine monster, so you can use monsters from either side of the field to be able to make this card, meaning you can summon out a copy of a Cyber Dragon or a Cyber Dragon monster that counts as Cyber Dragon on your side of the field, plus have Clockwork Knight activated to be able to contact fuse your opponent's entire field away, plus your Cyber Dragon monster to be able to make your copy Fortress Dragon, and it gains 1,000 attack points for every monster you put in this card, meaning you're basically going to swing in for game at that point and win the game. We then play a single copy of Chaos Angel. Chaos Angel is very easy to make in this deck, as you don't have to be able to use a tuner, you just have to use monsters that equal level 10 that are light or dark. So it's very easy to summon out this card to your side of the field, and be able to basically spot remove card off the field. Plus this card, if you use light monsters, then synchro monsters you control are unaffected by monster effects activated by your opponent, meaning it's going to be very difficult for your opponent to out this card. If you use dark monsters, monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. We play a single copy of Cyber Dragon Nova. Cyber Dragon Nova is really good, so we can step into our copy of Infinity, which we play Infinity at 1 in this build. And Infinity is really good in this deck because this card helps you use this card as a walking negate. Plus it can gobble up opponent's cards to be able to attach them to this card, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is really good in the deck to help you board wipe the field, just in case you need to. Play a single copy of Cyber Dragon Seeger. Seeger is really good in the deck to help you boost up your other Cyber Dragon monsters. Plus this card becomes Cyber Dragon while in the field or in the graveyard, which is a really cool effect. We'll make a single copy of SP Little Knight. SP Little Knight is really good in this build as a 1-up, just to be able to use this card as a double interruption against the opponent. 1 copy of Verte Anaconda. Since this card is still at 1 in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master, we're going to play this card at 1, as it works with our copy of Overload Fusion, so we can use it from our deck, because any 2 monsters equal a copy of Anaconda, so we can go in for game. We then finally play a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is really good for your copy of Hertz, just in case you need to normal summon Hertz and then get rid of it with your copy of Alamirage. You can easily do that, so you can use its effect to be able to grab another Cyber Dragon from your deck, which is a really cool ability, or one from your graveyard off your copy of Hertz, or you can even use your copy of Core with this card to get it off the field, just in case you need to. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. If you guys have never played Cyber Dragon before on Master Duel, you should definitely give this deck a try. It's super fun to be able to play, and it's just an absolutely amazing deck to be able to play on Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel that can either be a control deck or an OTK deck, depending on what you need. So, that's good for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.